We're going to open the floor for questions and comments after I make a couple of announcements. So bear with me. You can look at what's written on the blackboard while I do this, and soon we'll hear from all of you. The sponsoring organization of this rally, Socialist Action, Ligue pour l'Action Socialiste, is well known in the community for organizing educational activities, and among them are films, rebel films. They have been going for 8 years. This will be our 16th series, beginning on March 7th with the film Pussy Riot, A Punk Prayer. And it's about the struggle against authoritarianism in Russia. So you'll see this advert on the tables in front of you. Make a point of circling the dates in your calendar and joining us for these fine documentary films. There's always a guest speaker and a discussion that follows each screening. If you're interested in being part of the socialist movement, an organization like Socialist Action with a central orientation to the working class, to the labor movement, to the mass organizations of working people, I invite you to join us and to fill out the form on the tables that you see. Join Socialist Action. On the back is an article with more details about the situation surrounding the postal cuts that are now threatened, now being implemented. So have a look at that as well at your table. And finally, I invite you to have a look at our monthly newspaper, Socialist Action. It's a North American paper, articles on Canada, the U.S., the situation in Ukraine, Syria, the environmental issues that we all face globally. It's a fine paper, and I invite you to pick up the latest copy you'll get for the price of the latest issue, several back issues as well. So take the opportunity. And now, the motion that was revealed just a few moments ago. Please have a look at the blackboard and you'll see. Be it resolved that this meeting call for a mass picket at the office of Conservative Cabinet Minister Joe Oliver, who, by the way, voted loudly and clearly and visibly against the NDP motion against to condemn the postal door-to-door delivery service. A mass picket at the office of Joe Oliver, located at 511 Lawrence Avenue West in Toronto on Saturday, March the 15th at 2 p.m. And here's a brief motivation for that. We're not content simply to discuss the weather, we want to change it. This rally is about fostering action, as well as discussing the causes for indignation and protest. And we argue that it should be part of a cross-country wave of protest against the postal cuts. And we've heard from Brother Denis that there have been meetings held, and there will be more meetings held all across the country on this issue, and there have been protests, occupation of offices, and pickets, and we want to have one in the Toronto area, and we want it to be the first of many that will take place in this area and beyond. Joe Oliver is the MP for Eglinton-Lawrence. The Tories don't hold many seats in Toronto, in the city of Toronto. He is the Minister of Natural Resources. I'm not quite sure why he got that portfolio, but that's neither here nor there. As I said, he did vote against the NDP motion to keep door-to-door mail delivery. Joe Oliver's constituency office is the best Tory target, we think, in terms of accessibility for Toronto area supporters of the Postal Service, because it's midtown. Joe's office is at the southwest corner of Lawrence Avenue and Bathurst Street. The location is well served by buses. It's close to 2 subway stations, and there's plenty of parking at Lawrence Plaza, which is directly across the street from the building that houses his office. So that's the resolution, that's the proposal. The microphone is there. It's for you to make comments, to ask questions of Brother Denis, to express your solidarity if you come from another organization, to let us know what you think, to let us know what your organization is prepared to do to help make this action a success. If you want to propose an additional action or amend it in some way, we're eager to hear from you. This is the concluding part of the rally where we can translate our sentiments into direct action that can have an impact, that can get some media attention, that can tell postal workers, the many thousands of whom are not with us in this room at this moment, that we are with you, and you have been serving us and fighting for our rights for generations. We owe this to you. Together we shall overcome the capitalist austerity agenda. The floor is yours. I would like to have a gender balanced list, so if I hear from a couple of guys, I'm going to be looking for a woman. We want to involve all of the voices and the diversity of this meeting. So let's go to the first person at the microphone. Sonny, the floor is yours.
I support the resolution. And I encourage people to get people involved to make it out. My question is from Jamie. What can be done to engage, I guess, seniors groups if there are all these people that are concerned, like seniors tend to vote 4 or 5 times more than young people. You also have a large membership of retired Cup W members as well. So I'm wondering what can be done to utilize their political power as well as their time and resources, given that they are not working like a lot of us. Thank you.
So I think all of us, we have some members who are retirees, so that we are trying to work with them, so we already informed them about all this situation. For our retirees, between us, it's easier to mobilize them around the pension issue. The pension is really something which is close to them now. I think with the fact that we can be in a situation to lose 6,000 to 8,000 jobs, that maybe people will say, okay, there's a link between pension and all of that. So I think that's the kind of thing. So we are working with our retirees. About seniors, that's we have some experience in the past to work with some national organizations in Canada and Quebec for seniors, but when we had all the campaign in the 90s around the issue of the closure of the wickets. So now we have to renew this link with seniors. So that's one of the points of the action plan that we have, is to have a link with all the national organization. But I think when we were, we have to go and knock on doors. And I think the first experience, maybe we're okay with the resolution, but now I think with the fact that here in the Toronto area, that's the around Oakville, that would be the first place we will target. We already know that the mayor, I think his name is Burton, is not willing to fight back on this issue. I already said in the media it's a done deal, so we cannot fight. But we know the Labour Council in Oakville is fairly active, and I think that's where we will start. And I think the best way it's knocking door. And I think that's a big change with the fairness campaign. People are more and more aware that we have to go and knock on door. And some people say we have to go and knock more than once. I think that's the kind of thing we want to organize. I think the best way, if we want to meet and see how the organization, but and sometimes when you knock on the door, and we did that we start doing that in Winnipeg and some other place in the upcoming. We did knocking on the door in Ottawa, Winnipeg, and Edmonton in the last month. And what people are realizing is when you knock on doors, it's when you learn that there's some organization that you never know. They are there. They are a small organization between different groups, and senior organized, so you know where to go and when is the best time to talk with seniors. I think the core of this campaign, you can go public, you can have picket line, you can occupy offices, but at the end, I think we would have to go, and what we decide to do is to go and knock on doors.
Okay, thank you, brother. The next speaker, I think, is from Trinity Spadina DP, if I'm not mistaken. Please identify yourself and ask your question.
Do I need Spruce and Shield? Chipawfield Block and Miss Maslin. And the lady left. I was going to ask her what she was paid and who paid her. And I don't see her anywhere.
Do you have another question?
Does anybody want to see my name on the ballot?
Well, we're here to discuss the fight against the threat to the Postal Service. So, do you have a question about that or a comment?
You have answered my question.
Okay, thank you. Next, Julius. Hello again.
Hello. Okay, so in regards to the resolution, I think that the location, Joe Oliver's office, is the best for the Greater Toronto, close to downtown where we would get most of our support. I also think that, I'm sure most of you have heard that Hudak has publicly announced that he's backtracking from his push for right to work. So, it's a ploy. I mean, we shouldn't feel relieved because we know that this is something, it's a cornerstone of what the provincial Conservatives' policy has been. So those in the party who are strategists obviously said you need to drop this for now so that we can get elected. This is not going to go away, but nonetheless, it looks like a victory for us, in a sense. So I think that by having a mass rally such as this, we can help build the momentum that we need to reach out to the public and to reach out to our rank and file members, for that matter, and let them see that, you know, we need to really start to fight back, and these are some things that are happening. So I would, I obviously support the resolution, unless there's a conflict with March 15th or with any other large later events. I would say that the date is fine, 2 p.m. at Joe Oliver's office. Sounds good to me.
Thanks, Julia.
I support you.
And to keep the agenda balance, I'm going to call on Errol. Please identify yourself, go next, and then we'll go with the next person, okay?
Yes, my name is Ariel, in Toronto. This is not specifically about the resolution, but it seems to me we have a very clear-cut case here. And the move of Canada Post, as it exists, is to deprive the workers, to cut down the union, and it's also to deprive the people. I think that's exceedingly clear. And so I believe that I appreciate very much the energy and bringing in so many people who are dedicated to this cause, but we should all be dedicated to this cause. And I think we should make very clear in our publicity just precisely what has happened. The facts speak for themselves, and I think we have to act on that basis. So thank you very much for organizing this rally tonight and bringing in so many knowledgeable and dedicated people. And I think we should all work on this because it's in our interests. It's the interest of everyone. I'm a senior citizen, and I don't want to have to go out in the terrible kind of weather that we've had lately to pick up mail that should be delivered at my door. And I'd like to add, I think the service of our postal workers, in my own experience, is outstandingly good. And I've taken the chance to thank the two people that have been serving my area in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your appreciation. Next speaker, do you want to identify yourself?
My name is Hassan with the Trustees League of Canada. First, I want to say that we agree it's absolutely crucial for the whole working class to come to the defense of Cup W, to oppose these attacks and the privatization of Canada Post. And this is especially true because Cup W is seen as and has been the militant heart of public sector unionism in Canada. But in that spirit, I want to make a couple of critical remarks. First of all, the only strategy that will work in actually defending Cup W, the union and jobs in the working class, is by mobilizing social power of the working class and class struggle against the bosses. Historically, that's the only thing that works. And it's been mentioned in the 1960s strikes that helped to forge the postal union. And the key lessons from these strikes is that there's no common interest between the working class and the capitalist class. The only class struggle against the capitalist class in the form of strikes and mass pickets, cutting off production, is what will win gains for workers. And unfortunately, that's the exact opposite of the views that have been pushed by most of the speakers today, which most of them have pushed the idea that there's a common interest actually between the bosses and the workers. And that's really exemplified by the whole postal banking scheme. It's the idea that if the company is more profitable, then this will be better for workers as well. And the union has nothing to gain from giving business advice to Canada Post. Actually, it's been pointed out that Canada Post has been profitable already. The whole point of capitalist production is not just to make profit, but to maximize the rate of profit. And Canada Post could very well enter postal banking and still cut thousands of jobs. So instead of giving Canada Post business advice, it's necessary to mobilize the power of labor. And another point that has been made by many speakers is on the NDP, which has been pushed as being the lesser evil, a party that might fight to defend workers, might oppose these cuts. The NDP is not a lesser evil to the Conservatives, is not a party that has ever or can ever have a workers' agenda. It's a party that's completely dedicated to the capitalist system. And that actually was the NDP government of Bob Rae that tossed CUPW leaders in jail in 1991. So instead of the perspective of elections, electing the NDP, and giving business advice to Canada Post in the form of postal banking, what's needed is mobilizing the social part of the working class, building a revolutionary vanguard party, and that's what we fight for. You can check out our paper, Workers' Vanguard, Supports Canada.
Okay, Brian, thank you very much.
Maybe I want first I want to address what the sister put out about the mail and the what they call the supermarket boxes. And the access is a problem, so that's clear. The access is a problem. The security of the mail is a problem. We have a lot of problems now that people are stealing supermarket boxes. They are coming with the vehicle. They just took it out and they bring it. And one of the problems we're starting to see happening in some part of the country is the issue about the steal of identity. That's something was really difficult with people when your identity is stolen and what you can do, how you can organize around it. So that's the kind of thing we will have to go and talk with people and explain, because Canada Post say, oh no, there's no problem with these supermarket boxes. So that's the kind of thing when we go and meet with people that we'll address. About the issue about the brother is talking, I think that we don't share this view. We share that we share the view that yes, we have to protect the job, we have to protect the Postal Service, but in some way the Postal Service is a public service, and we feel that the only way we can, we always been at the position that the Postal Service has to be self-sufficient, that make its money, and we know the 60% of the revenue of Canada Post is coming from the letter. So 60%. So if this 60% is going to 30%, there's a gap that have to be filled. It can be filled with other services, and we're pushing that. But we feel that the bank is something interesting because of the fact that it can be really oriented around society and social aspect and serve the people instead of serving a big corporation and people with money. Is it like a credit union or Caisse Populaire in Quebec? That's the kind of thing we have to look at. But we feel that it's something it can be make Canada Post self-sufficient, and with that we can subsidize services and innovation at Canada Post. So that's a different view, and that's the decision of our board, and I push for that decision because when you go out and talk with people, people are saying, okay, what are you putting forward? What are you suggesting? And for when you're talking about public service like the Postal Service, you must have a view or a vision about what can be the future of the service.
Thanks, brother. Next at the microphone, Judy.
These attacks on labor have been going on for many, many years. And one of the reasons is because the union bureaucracy doesn't stand up and encourage the workers to fight back. And it doesn't only go on for unionists, it goes on for all the poor people in society. And the unions can be in the leadership against that, because union workers are among the most powerful people in society.
please identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Ben Rostoker. I'm executive at large on the Socialist Caucus of the NDP. I'm the treasurer of the Youth for Socialist Action organization, and I am a member of Socialist Action, which is hosting this event. I agree with the resolution, and I think it's important to attack the immediate problem, which is the Conservative government in power. But I think it's also important to make sure that the party that we put into power after them is able to systematically fight for the things that we're fighting for right now. And I think that's why it's important not only to hold the Conservative Party accountable to that which they don't want to be, but also to make sure that the NDP is prepared and held accountable for when they take power to fight for the rights that we're fighting for. And to fight not just for the fighting the privatization of the Postal Service, but for fighting for the socialization of the Postal Service and giving the workers and the people on the floor, the people actually doing the mail service, more control over this corporation that they've been building from the ground up for years.
Thank you. Please identify yourself.
Tyler McKinnon, chairperson of Youth for Socialist Action. Just want to bring up a couple points. Sid Ryan brought up the by-election in Niagara. I actually helped on that campaign. I was there on election day. And I really have to say, one point that kind of went unnoticed here was the Conservative campaign attacks used against Wayne Gates. There were flyers handed out to every house claiming he was a member of the Canadian Communist Party, that he was a radical, and that Niagara wasn't ready for such a radical Wayne. Now, what does this really mean? As far as I see it, what this means is the Conservatives are scared of anyone who might in any slightest way challenge the neoliberalist austerity agenda proposed by the Harper government or by the equally evil Liberal government provincially in Ontario. As far as I'm concerned, though, if I had any advice to give to the ONDP running in the next by-elections, is that if we're going to be labeled as radicals by the right wing, no matter what we do, we might as well embrace that title and actually develop a radical agenda. For example, when the Ontario Federation of Labour say, let's increase the minimum wage to $14 an hour, why doesn't the ONDP support that? What would Tommy Douglas do? He would say the exact same thing. He would say, why not increase it to $15 an hour?
20. Yeah.
The list is endless. If Canada is one of the richest nations on the earth, then the workers should be seeing that wealth. In regards to the resolution, I completely support it. I wish it could actually happen a bit sooner, but there it is. It's pretty laid out, and I think this is important because it really shows the philosophy of organizations like Socialist Action and others who understand the necessity for not only is theory good, not only are public forums good for us to become educated and aware and willing to take on these tasks, but actually hitting the floor and causing these acts into action to show that there is alternatives, to shake the media and say, this is what we want and we are not happy with the current situation. Theory added with practice is the only way we can achieve change. Thank you.
Welcome to the next speaker. Please identify yourself.
Hi, Evan Engering, youth officer for NDP Mississauga Streetsville, and I'm a shop steward for Local 1000A as of August of last year, before Unifor, the largest private sector union in Canada, the United Food and Commercial Workers, and I speak on behalf of thousands of private sector workers when I say that we support the fight against the attacks on Canada Post. If you want to know more about that, pick up one of these leaflets that my union produced over at the table there. They have little pictures making fun of Stephen Harper and his stooge Deepak Chopra. And may I just say personally that I think that I agree with the public sector sister when I say that we need to be not just reactive but proactive in fighting against the corporate sector and fighting against this capitalist crisis, and saying that we don't need these stooges like Deepak Chopra, that we don't need any CEO of Canada Post, that we can do these public services ourselves by the working class, for the working class. Down with the Canada Post and all these public sector CEOs and private sector CEOs. Thank you.
In the interest of gender balanced speakers list, I call on the next person. Please identify yourself.
My name is Lily from Put Food in the Budget. I'm sorry I got late, so if I'm repeating something, I apologize. I just read in the newspaper today that they are starting to deploy this operation in Oakville. and that's really bad. I bring an experience from another country. I am from Brazil, and years ago, less than 20 years ago, a certain sociologist that got in the presidency of Brazil, very promising person that got in the presidency of Brazil before the Workers' Party, privatized everything as much as he could. We had great services in Brazil. We had great telephone services, lots of great stuff. Our country became a mess of privatizing crap. So, yeah, I live in Canada for 16, almost 17 years. I have found that more and more things are privatized here, more difficult it is for anyone to get a job. For me particularly, as an immigrant, as a woman, it was very difficult to get anywhere, and it is more and more. You get contract positions, you get half-something jobs and you have to juggle several of them to live. So, yeah, no to privatization, and definitely we can go to, we can hold the conservatives responsible for this, but we should also push the liberals, push the NDP. They have to go. They're doing this to us, and we are not liking it. And it's time that we go out. And I am all for this, for the meeting in front of the mass picket and many others. And I hope I'll be here to be doing it with you.
Before I call on the next speaker, I want to congratulate Lily and Sharon, who were very much involved in organizing a wonderful event earlier this week, putting Premier Wynne on trial. With a terrific turnout, some media bounce, and they should be congratulated for a great effort to expose the austerity policies of the provincial government, which is a culprit as much as the federal and any other in the attack on the working class. Next, please, John, identify yourself.
Okay. Well, I thought you identified me. I'm John Wilson. I'm a Socialist Action, and of course I support the resolution. We in Socialist Action are involved in a number of areas in trade unions and the NDP, social movements. One of the areas that we have been able to be more involved in recently has been the struggle for LGBT rights. Bear with me, I'm going somewhere with this. A couple of us were part of the planning committee for the February 6th demonstration against Putin's anti-gay law and the oppression and violence which is being visited on queer communities in Russia. There's a reason why the struggle for gay rights in Canada went so much further and faster than it did in the United States. And the main reason for that is the existence of a stronger labor movement in this country and the existence of a Labour Party with all of its many shortcomings, but at least it's a party that can be pushed to represent our interests. And the other parties are simply parties of Bay Street. So, the NDP is the only game in town when it comes to electoral politics. So, in this context, we should remember that the Union of Postal Workers, as in many other areas, was in the front of the line when it comes to gay rights. We can't afford to let them down or ourselves down.
Thanks very much. Question, identify please.
Yeah, hi, my name's Dave. I'm with the Greater Toronto Workers' Assembly. I think it's really important what you guys did about Kathleen Wynne, because she raised the minimum wage to $11 an hour. That's a joke. Nobody can live off of $11 an hour. And at the same time, she wants to please two masters. You can't please two masters. There's going to be some of the small businesses are going to leave the city because of that. So they'll leave. But I think at the same time, definitely I support the resolution against Joe Oliver. But I think also too with, I believe it's what Sid said about we should go door to door, or also to talk to people they may think, because maybe the ads that they're putting out, that we're all, you know, even the workers, let me see if I can phrase this right, that people need to support the workers, not the CEOs, not the corporations. So we have to, some people say, oh no, we should get rid of the, you know, the Canada Post and so forth. So I think it's really important to, when people see the button, to inform them that, no, don't support Deepak Chopra, don't support the corporations, the CEOs, support the workers. I think that's the most important thing. Wearing the button is great, but I think at the same time, you know, if somebody asks us about it, we need to tell them about it, so that way we can inform them. I think that's really important.
Thanks, David. Next person, please.
Sisters brothers, my name is Yasin Kaya. I'm a member of QP Local 3903 at York University. I'm also a member of Socialist Action. If you're wondering, this is Turkish accent. I migrated to Canada 5 years ago, and recently I got my permanent residency card. Yay! Thanks to Canada Postal Service. Well, we're facing, I mean, all the workers around the world, especially in Europe and in Canada, we face this evil called privatization. And why do they want to privatize the state or public enterprises? Broadly speaking, two reasons. One, there is budget deficits in European countries and in Canada. And why are there budget deficits? We're talking about rich countries here. There are budget deficits because they bailed out the banks. They use our money and they gave it to the failed banks. That's why they have budget deficits. And in order to finance those deficits, they're selling the things that we own, like Canada Post. And secondly, the corporations need privatizations. Why is that? Because they cannot produce and they cannot make profits out of productive activities. Therefore, they do need new areas where they can profit. They can just steal the wealth that the workers in Canada built, like Canada Post, and they will just steal it and use for profit because they cannot make profits in the other productive sectors. So if they win this struggle, and it's a class struggle on their part too, if they win this class struggle against the postal workers, they won't stop there. They will continue attacking to the other public services. So this is key. This struggle is key for them. And this struggle is also key for us, the workers in Canada. This anti-privatization struggle is key. If we win this struggle, we will be able to win three things. If we win the struggle against the attack on postal workers, we will win three things. I mean, I'm an observer of this society. So I observe three problems with the working class in Canada. The first problem is lack of self-confidence. We don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe in our power. And how can we overcome this? I will give you the example of Turkish workers. I was in Turkey this summer, and as you know, millions of people protested the corrupt, neoliberal, conservative government. We learned one thing there: action. In action, you believe yourself. When you go to the streets, when you oppose the authority on the streets, when you with the other people like you build self-confidence. And if we win this struggle against the attack on the postal workers, we will believe ourselves so that we can stand the other upcoming attacks. What is the second problem? Ignorance. I'm also in the teaching business. I teach at York University. I mean, people don't know about their rights. They don't know much about the nature of the attacks, so on and so forth. So we need to educate them. But what is the best educator? It's the practice. In action you learn. In action you teach. And in Turkey, throughout the struggle, we experience this as well. When you're in struggle, you listen to the people. You know, you ask your comrades. You say, "What are we going to do?" And they talk to you. And you ask to your sister and ask, you know, what was the problem and why did they privatize this public park? And they explain it to you. So in action, you learn. This third problem that the Canadian workers in Canada face, and is the competition among workers. They make us compete. They make us compete with the unemployed people. They make the Chinese worker compete with the Italians. They make the unemployed compete with the employed. They make the Canadian citizens compete with the new immigrants. And the solution to this is worker solidarity. And what is the best place to build that solidarity? it's the labor action, it's the protest, it's the street. So we should start with action and learning, building solidarity, and confidence will follow that. Thank you.
And your question was? Yes, we should do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Ross, please then.
Yeah, Ross Ashley. I'm Federal Vice President of the St. Paul's New Democratic Party. I'm a member of the steering committee of the Socialist Caucus, which co-sponsors this event. I'm a veteran labor union activist. I was in the Service Employees Union, Local 1, for 35 years. I'm also a Canadian sympathizer of Socialist Organizer in the United States and a proponent of the Fourth International La Vérité, to distinguish it from other organizations. I'd just like to point out that the fight against austerity on which we are engaging here tonight is international. The post office in the United States, the USPS, is under the same sort of attack that our postal service is. They're proposing there to shut down Saturday deliveries, but that's the thin edge of the wedge as far as I can see. Postal services in Europe are under attack. Public services in Europe are under attack. The departmental governments in France, for example, are being expanded at the expense of the local communes. We have to make sure, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, that this fight, we don't lose sight of the fact that the fight is international. We need to keep one eye on what's going on below the border and another eye on what's going on in Europe. And we need to take the militancy that we see there and bring it forth here on the street too. Thank you.
Brother, are you at the mic?
I am.
Go ahead. Please identify yourself.
My name is Lawrence Plaza. I'm a member of Canadian Postal Workers.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. So, I've been dismissed from the company directly from Deepak Chopra. Anyway, that's a different story. However, I have a couple of questions for Brother Denis. The first question is that a little while ago, through my email, I proposed that one way we could fight Deepak Chopra, or the agenda is to put a petition to the Parliament to investigate the bonuses, expenses, travel expenses, airline tickets, hotels, meals, beverages, cigars, whatever the case is, the bodyguard, I don't know, house subsidies, you name it, in order to expose them that not only Canada Post is not losing money, but it is gaining. But if it's losing, why are these corporate goons are pocketing millions and millions of dollars each year, to name it, 11, 12 $1 million just their bonuses, and at the same time saying that Canada Post is losing money. So that's one question, if you take action. The second is the grassroots movement. You do whatever is required legally to do, but very effective way is the resolution everyone came up, or we came up with, that I agree and most of us agree with, to protest on the streets. The best classrooms are the streets, where you can talk to public, express your opinion, and make connection, build support, build the monument, build the movement. So here the proposal, would you send a memo, a letter, anything to the locals in every cities to protest every week, at least Saturday or Sunday, whatever the number is, whatever the location is, across Canada, until we get to the point that they cannot eliminate public services, eliminate good jobs. Keep fighting. The resistance must continue.
No, thank you, brother, for the two questions. I think the first one is something we're on. The one about having information about what's happening at Canada Post is the directors of Canada Post and the members of the board and all of that. But the reality is on that question that the only way you can have this information is through the access of the access of information. That's the only way. Canada Post would never inform publicly what are the wages of the director or member of the board. The only way you can access that kind of information is by the law and asking for access of information. And we did that, and someone from the Toronto Star did that for the 7,000 people who received bonuses last year, and the amount of bonuses they received. So the only way is to access information. That's why now we want to address the issue of the banking, what Canada Post did. They had a study on banking between 2009 and 2013, and we want to access. So we went through the access of information, and what we received, it's supposed to be a study of 800 pages. We received 100 pages, and 99 of these pages are blanks. So we are having a press conference next week with Olivia Charles to try to have that kind of information. So for the first question, the only way we can access this kind of information and how to receive is through the access of information. Secondly, around the second one, I think before asking people to go every week and having activities, all of that all over the country, you have to go and meet with them and explain the situation. We're just recuperating about the strike and the lockout we have, and we are facing all the postal transformation. So now we are in the process to go and meet with the members all over the country, and that's what we want to do. At some point, we will have days. We have to start with days of action, but we have to meet with people before we have that kind of days of action. So that's where we are. We cannot just send a memo to locals saying, oh, get people out every week. There's local who are already organized activity like Winnipeg and Edmonton are two interesting examples. They organize activity almost every 2 weeks around leafleting. An example in Montreal this weekend, this upcoming weekend, people will go and leaflet the three cities with the three municipalities who will be involved. So that's a progress, but the goal is really at some point that everybody be in the street, but not alone with the labor movement and with the public. So we're heading that direction, but issuing a memo is not like the way to go. The way to go is go and meet with people.
Dick, you want to identify yourself, and after him I'm going to test the House, put the proposition to a vote. There might be one or two questions after that, but I think we're comfortable doing that if I understand the meeting properly.
My name is Dick Troy. I'm a member of several groups, including the St. Paul's NDP, and I definitely support the resolution that I've several times I've picketed Joe Oliver's office, but I also agree that we should continue this, that maybe every month. There are other federal buildings on St. Clair, down on Adelaide Street, I think maybe every month. But I appreciate that the Socialist Action organizing this, but I think we should also get more of a coalition, so this becomes a real groundswell in several parts of the city. And I have a question about the need. I agree. I'm in marketing and small business sort of thing, and I use EMS, the electronic mail service, and I get boxes, cartons. I sell pipe couplings. I should be retired a long time ago, but I still have to keep working. But I get parcels coming from South Korea, from EMS in 3-4 days. But if I had to get it from sometimes if it wanted really quick I have to go to FedEx, and the price is so high. So, and I agree with the postal bank. And now and then I buy, say, a book, say, from Amazon, and who delivers it practically the next day? Not the post office, but UPS or Canpar. Now, is in the postal office, who is the marketing manager? Are the marketing manager of Canada Post, are they going out to Amazon, to all these other places and say, hey, look, we'll give you the best deal. We cover everywhere in Canada. And so there's a lot to be done to improve the purview of Canada Post. And the bank is, the postal bank is, a friend of mine has to send money to St. Vincent every month. And she has to go to these, the Western Union. But there's so much to be done. But does the marketing people in Canada Post, do they really want to get Canada Post to be better, or would they like it to really sink into the mud? Thank you.
I think you answered the question you asked yourself. It's we have to push Canada Post, because at some point you say we have the monopoly of the letter, so we don't compete with with UPS, we don't compete with FedEx or EMS, because it's the private. Now we have to push them to go. The future of the post office, in some ways, is in the competition sector. So they have to compete with this group, with UPS, with FedEx, and all these groups. They have to do it. So we're pushing them, and now they're starting to look at it, mostly around e-commerce. But it's clear that you're right. Some people at Canada Post, they don't want. They say, okay, it's not our sector. Our sector is the letter. So it's why we have to cut. We don't compete. We let the private sector what they want to do. With us, we're pushing. Yes, you have to compete. You have to compete and have better prices and offer, like for the people sending money to St. Vincent and all over, that they can go through Canada Post with a better rate. We can beat all of them because we're going to every door. But we have to push them. There's some people who are resisting and say, okay, give that to the private sector. You're right.
Okay, I'm going to take this brother's been waiting a long time at the mic off and on, so I'm going to call on him and then the brother behind, and then we're going to put the proposition to a vote, and then kind of see if there's any last remarks, and then conclude the round. So brother, briefly,
okay,
tell us who you are.
I am Mr. Tesfaye from Canada Post. I'm an MSc, meaning that I'm a driver, like he was talking about.
Service career.
Yeah, MSc, med service career. In fact, my question is, what is the concrete action by the national? I was yesterday in the local. The local has started to take names from volunteers and then to go door to door. Okay, and then what I suggested was, with all volunteers, like meaning that the members that are going to meetings to volunteer to their neighborhood. For example, what my suggestion was, I live in a street where I have 50 households, yes? Then, if I talk to 20 people, and if every member from coast to coast do that, we'll get a lot of people, because this time it is about the election, yes? To get Harper out, yes? Okay. If we want to get Harper out, then we have to have, especially the seniors who are going to be affected by this door-to-door, which he wants to cancel. And the seniors, in most cases, vote conservative, yes? We know that. But that could change. While I'm going outside and then do my job, I meet a lot of seniors, a lot of people. They are with us at this time. And if you do this action, which is suggested by the local, and then we are going to implement that. But the national, what my suggestion for the national is, to have a task force having the blessing from the national, and then this task force will do, for example, when you go out and talk with people, you have to know what you are talking about, yes? There you have to give a course in terms of labor history, Canada Post history, and the Harper, what they are doing. For example, there is a lot of elected officials who tell the elders something else, but they vote something else. So this needs a thorough involvement from the national. I believe, I don't know, maybe it could be half a day or a day courses. For when we go out and talk with people, we have to know what we are talking about. And this is to initiate discussion about what is happening to Canada Post and then public service in general. But particularly Canada Post, and we know how we are treated inside for the past 3-4 years. So this is the question for you. I don't know what you thought about it.
No, you're absolutely right. We have a president's meeting coming up. So we have all the presidents coming in different part of the country that will organize. We have the educational that will go in all the region, and in Toronto there will be more than one, to make people aware about this issue. And we will have public event too, like press conference. We will have a conference, an international conference on all the issue of the banking and all of that. So what you're saying, that's the action plan. Okay, national and local. Okay, so thank you.
It's going to happen. Yes?
Yeah, it will happen. We have a choice.
All right.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, last question, really briefly, please.
Robert Large, member of the CAW, worker out in Oshawa, Local 222. I was wondering, when did Federal Express and UPS, did they come across the border with the NAFTA? Or did we, Canada Post, just not clue in that there's going to be more parcels delivered, and they dropped the ball way back then? Yeah. And the other thing is, with the NSA surveillance, you always want to keep letters so that they can't snoop on the letter. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. No, you're right. They dropped the ball 30 years ago and left everything to the private sector. So.
Okay. Well, if the room is comfortable with the stage that we're at in the rally, I'd like to put that proposition to a vote. Julius is going to take a picture as you raise your hand one way or the other. So I'm going to read the motion once again. Be it resolved that this meeting call for a mass picket at the office of Conservative Cabinet Minister Joe Oliver at 511 Lawrence Avenue West in Toronto on Saturday, March 15th at 2 p.m. And by voting for this, it's kind of a commitment, not only that you'll be there, but to bring one person at least, maybe 2 or 3, and get your organization to help publicize this and really build it and make it big so that it won't be the last, it'll be one of a series of protests in this region and across the country. All in favor of the resolution, please show. Hands high. Got it?
Got it.
Good. Any opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. I want to thank Brother Denis Lemelin for being with us. He came down from Ottawa. I also want to recognize with us at the back of the room Brother Dave Bleakney, who's on the national staff of the Postal Workers Union. Thanks, Dave, for coming on down. We are with you, postal workers, 100%. And we have a hard struggle ahead, but we're going to win this because we will stand united, shoulder to shoulder, defeating the austerity agenda and fighting in the interests of working people for a workers' agenda. I just want to say, in conclusion, a few quick points. Please bear with me. Number 1, some of you came in during the course of the meeting and you were in a rush because the meeting was underway and you might not have noticed that we're taking a collection at the door. We incurred a few $100s in expenses to rent this large room and the AV system. If you could put a few more, some currency in there, preferably the paper folding kind, we would really appreciate it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Secondly, we got some great literature on sale, including some new booklets at the side table. Please visit the table on your way out. Buy lots of stuff because there will be less for me to carry home in my car. We've got a great new button. Capitalism is organized crime. Isn't it so? So buy a few for yourself and your friends, $1 a piece. And make sure you get the Save Canada Post button as well. Join us for Rebel Films, which start in a couple of weeks. And join us. Are you thirsty? Is there anyone in this room that's thirsty? Join us for a drink at the Regal Beagle. It's a pub on Bloor Street, 1 block west of here on the south side of Bloor and St. George. Join us for drinks and conversation at the Regal Beagle. Thank you all for coming tonight and making this rally the success it has been. And thanks once again to Brother Denis Lemlin.